My name is Kathy with Nerida and Vicky. We can give you a few tips for your future money journey. Firstly, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we meet today. We'd also like to pay our respects to our elders past and present. So where do you find financial counsellors? Well, we are all around Australia. We're a free government service and we're funded by the Department of Fair Trading and Department of Social Service. And we are independent and confidential, which is really important to people. We help people from about 18 to over 80 when they get into trouble with money or just need some guidance. Mostly something has happened to put pressure on their finances. They could have lost their job, have had reduced shifts, a medical problem, their relationship might have broken down, or maybe they just borrowed too much money that they just couldn't afford. Okay, so financial counsellors help with advice on debt caused from many different areas, including loans and credit cards that you can see there. Financial counsellors help with advice on debt caused from many areas, including loans and credit cards, rental arrears, all sorts of issues as well. Now, today, I'm going to be showing you a video about Yen and hearing his story. Then together, what I want you to do is I want you to do the budget with me for Bien. And if you type into your laptop or your mobile phone, Money Smart budget, it'll drop up and you'll be able to create your own budget. Now, we're not using Bien's personal information. It's just as an example only, and we wouldn't disclose his information. And after we've done this, I'm going to hand over to Nerida, and she's going to speak to you about needs and wants with money, which is really important. And Vicky will be giving you some great information on government payments and services that you may need in the future.
Money's in the background of all of our lives, and we can all find ourselves in changed circumstances experiencing financial difficulty. And that's the beauty of the Money Care service. Anyone can access it of any age and from any income level. You don't need to have been involved with the Salvation Army before. All it takes is a phone call, a little bit of your time, and we'll be able to work out if our service can support you in your situation.
At work, all my mates had utes and that was stuff. So I was like, I just gotta get one. I have to get every day. I go to work. I'm like, I want to get a ute. I want to get a ute. I want to get a ute. No. Finally, that day came. Just like, that's it. I want to have a look at cars. Walked in, and there was this car. It looks really good. But yeah, I was like, do you want the car? You can take it today. I was like, still thinking. I'm not 100% sure because I don't have the money yet. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I was like, look, just got a phone call. If you're not taking the car, someone else just wants the car. I just put pressure on me. I was like, if I leave this and that's it, I'm gonna lose this car. The price was good, the car looks good, everything that he said about mechanical sounds legit. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take it. They gave me all the forms to fill it in. They're like, oh, just sign that, sign that, sign that. They didn't explain it to me. Like, if they like explain it to me, what, like on each page, this is this, this is it, I'll be like, yeah, nah, that's not something that I want to get myself into, because like this job that I was working, like I wasn't earning that much money. I was absolutely terrified. I was like, every day I was just emotional and just sad thinking about it. I was like going down, just started eating, just like, oh, I just wish I would have done this. I wish I could go back in time and just change it. And I was struggling with money. I was like going to work, still making money, but not having money for myself. So I couldn't go out with my mates, couldn't do anything. I was gonna quit playing sports because I couldn't afford it.
We hear people feel deep shame, yet often it's through no fault of their own. It's just life happens. They really believe that they're on their own and all alone, and that's a really lonely feeling, and it's a feeling of often despair. And I think we saw that in the end.
Christina, the Money Care Show, she's the one took my case in. She read about my contract, and she also realised that I've been screwed over by the place that bought the cars. So she decided to take my case, and now she's fighting for it. She's going on through this process on trying to just get me out of it. So she's doing absolutely an amazing job.
I've been really impressed by Bien's approach of accepting, but also also living with a lot of hope as to what the future can look like. And people typically leave going, I feel lighter. I feel like a load's been lifted from me.
Oh, she's a fighter, absolutely. She looks friendly, but deep inside, she's a fighter. She knows what she's doing, absolutely. If I did met Christina, I don't know what I would have done. I actually don't know, honestly.
I think the thing is we know that we're all partners in this. This service happens because people support the Salvos in delivering it. So any good outcome that we achieve is actually because the people in this community help us achieve it. So thank you for giving. Thank you for giving generously, supporting your community and ensuring that we're protected.
Well, that's a really touching story from Bien. Now, what did Bien succumb to? Some really hard sales tactics. He was told there's a time limit. I've a guy on the phone who wants it. The guy was persistent, kept telling him how brilliant the car was, and then he could take it away. So just keep that in mind. If you think somebody's trying to sell you something, you maybe want to take a breath and think about it. Let's have a look at the car loan that he took out over 7 years that he said he had to pay over 48,000. So he took a loan for 19,000. This is the loan amount. I'm just going to use my pointer here. This is the loan amount, and then the amount of interest. And over 7 years, he was paying $271 a fortnight, and that would have been a lot of money out of Bien's budget, as we'll just see as we keep going. And what do you think his car would have been worth after 7 years? Would it probably 2 or 3 or 4, 5,000? So what should have been done? He should have probably run. However, once he signed that contract, just like any contract, whether it's a phone, renting a TV, borrowing money on the internet, he was bound by law to repay the terms and conditions agreed. So maybe just think before you sign up for that phone. As I said before, if you have access to a phone or tablet, type into your browser Money Smart Budget. We're going to make up a budget that might have looked like Bien's. And you can use this kind of technique throughout your life to check on your spending, and it really doesn't take long, and it's just tap into the internet. Now mine will look a little different to yours, as I'm using the Excel link just here on the spreadsheet, just so I could fit it into this PowerPoint, but it's the same information. So first of all, we're going to look at his income. Now, let's pretend that Bien is a third-year apprentice carpenter, and the first category is his income, so $678.75. We're going to do his budget weekly, and you can do it monthly or yearly. He doesn't have any of these other benefits, but whatever category, if you're on Centrelink, you can still use this budget. Next is costs, his home and utilities category. We're going to put $250 in for his rent, and that's weekly. He doesn't have any of these fees. He doesn't own a home. His electricity is going to be $80, and that's quarterly. His gas, $30 quarterly. His water, $20 quarterly. Internet, $30. They want fast speed, like everybody does. I wish I had it. Monthly. Pay TV, he's got Netflix, $14. And you can see over here, it's turning it into the weekly amount in his budget automatically. His mobile phone, he has a contract for $90 a month, and that's costing him $21 a week. So next category, his insurance and financial. So his car insurance, he's just got a new car, and $160. He's paying that monthly because he's not able to afford the yearly premium. So he's paying a little bit more for that. He doesn't have home and contents insurance. He says he can't afford health insurance. His car loan, so this is how much he's paying to a fortnight, as we worked out, $271, and that's costing him $136 per week. He says he does like to give to charity now and again, and he says it's about $10 a month. He can't afford savings, and he doesn't have any other loans. So next is groceries. He said, $100 a week. He said that's what he spends on groceries, and he tries to cook as much as he can. So his personal and medical. So cosmetics and toiletries, $30 a month. His hair and beauty, he looks pretty good, doesn't he? $30 a month. That's a pretty good deal for looking so good. His medicines and pharmacy, $20. He says he's got irritant eyes that he needs to spend $20 a month on. He goes to the dentist and it costs him about $150 just for a checkup and a clean. His hobbies, you can see he likes soccer, so we're making up that he spends $500 a year on his fees and his boots and his balls. His clothing and shoes, well, when you're young, you need to look good, so he spends about $100 a month. Computers and gadgets, he's got PlayStation subscription and a couple of games, about $300 per year. And he goes to the gym every week, and that costs him $23. So our next category is entertainment and eating out. He doesn't drink coffee and tea, he says. Lunches, he spends really about $50 a week. And takeaway snacks, maybe about $20, he said. Drinks and alcohol, about $50 a fortnight. And bars and clubs, he said, look, he does like to go out, and that's where he meets his friends and has fun. He said that's $100 a month. Movies and music, he said, every quarter, maybe $50. And gifts, he said, he likes to buy his mum and dad presents now and again for Christmas and birthdays. So that's $200 a year. So here we are. It's all been put into the weekly amount. You can have that as monthly, yearly, whichever way you want, and you can change it each time as you go. So here we go. Transport and auto. So bus, train, ferry, his Opel card, he says about $30 a month he uses. Petrol, it's costing him $40 a week. I hope I'm not going too fast for you, but just try and keep up. I know you're really good on the internet. Road tolls and parking, about $20 a month, he said, not very often. His rego and license costs about $550 a year. He could only do that for 6 months, though, he said. And repairs and maintenance, he had to get new tires after he bought that ute. So it cost him, he got cheap ones, he said, but it cost him $500, and he hasn't had a service yet. He said, he did get a fine. He's paying about $20 off. He rang Service New South Wales and got a payment plan on that. So after we do all of that budget, what does it all amount up to? So what we've seen is 177 a week deficit, which is minus. Deficit means he's in red territory, which isn't good. That a month translates to $768. And look, over a year, when you do it over a year, it's $9,000. Now, he told us he'd stopped going out, he'd stopped seeing his friends because he couldn't afford it. And he really wasn't in a good spot. And he obviously isn't spending this much money, but he's stopped all of his entertainment and not feeling good about himself because the car is taking all of his money, not just the payment, $271, but the insurance, the road costs, the petrol. It's taking a huge chunk out of his budget. So the good thing about this is, and I will tell you that I did hear that he was able to get a really good resolution with Kristen's help. It sounds like the company may not have followed the law with the contract that he had, and they didn't explain it to him, so there may have been some way out or some resolution that would have made it a lot easier for Bien for coming to MoneyCare. So before I hand you over to Nerida, I've just got a few parting tips how I'd like you to think about money, and it's be nice. Donate to a church or charity. Give a little bit of your money away. It makes you feel really good. Be smart with your money. Put it in savings. Think about where, don't just spend it when it comes into your account. Think a little bit about the future, what you'd like, and, travel, university, and just something, save for a car, possibly. Be patient. So place in short-term goals for gadgets, gifts, gaming, and holidays. So you've got a little bit put aside for those things that you want. And be ready. And again, a little bit buy for savings, for impulse buys, for things you just can't pass up. And then spend it. Enjoy your money. And when you've got money for a week, just keep it on a cash card, or if you're not good at, you can put it on a prepaid card and enjoy your snacks and food. But when you run out of money, you run out of money, and you don't touch your savings that week. So thank you so much. I'm now going to hand you over to Nerida, who's going to go through in more detail needs and wants.
Thanks for that, Kathy. And thanks for giving us an insight into BN's story, where he was unfortunate to be caught up in a car loan contract, and for taking a look at BN's budget. However, let's talk more about budgeting and where you may be able to save. So will budgeting help us? Well, it helps you to know where your money is going, where you are wasting money, preparing for emergencies, determining needs versus wants, and achieving your financial goals. So we talk about financial goals, and when we talk about that, we're all different in what our goals are and where we want to go and what we want to achieve. So let's talk about needs versus wants. Needs are things like groceries, because they're essential needs, aren't they? Staying connected, electricity, for example. Can you think of other needs? Another need also could be rent. So wants are a little different because they can be varied wants. Do we need these things, like wants as in a takeaway, or that fancy car, or even a second-hand car we may not be able to afford? So budgeting does sound like hard work, do you think? Well, not really. It's your income less your expenses. So look here into this example of a budget. There's Sam. He's a first-year apprentice, and we're going to look into what his expenses are. You can see he is living in a shared accommodation with a friend, and he's got a little bit of insurance. His groceries are $250 a week. Toiletries at $10 a month, hair at $20, clothing $2,500, and takeaways $150 a week. And he takes the train and bus, sometimes ferry, to work. So if we look at Ben's budget, I'm wondering what you can see here. Maybe down the bottom there, you can see that he's actually in deficit of his budget. So when we're looking at Sam's budget in deficit, we can see, or he can see on a pie graph, if he's going to the Money Smart website and looking at his budget, where he's spending most of his money on. Now, you can see here groceries are a large part of that pie chart, and maybe even possibly the pink. So for his own needs and wants and what his goal is and what he wants to achieve is up to where he'd like to project his savings. So Mr. Ben's saying that Sam didn't do so well. Right, now he's saying he could get out a loan. So Sam, including Mr. Ben here, may have friends to say, well, you know, go online and you'll get a payday loan in seconds. But the problem with getting out a payday loan is interest, and you could be paying that well into December or the next year. So it works like this. You receive a loan, and over time you pay back the loan itself, which is called the principal, but then there's interest. and there can be a lot of that on top of it. So that is just really like burning your money, isn't it? And even Mr. Bean agrees that that's pointless. So what can Sam do about that? Well, he can look at needs versus wants. Let's take a look at his budget one more time. So he's in deficit of $157 down here. And maybe he wants to save up for a future goal like buying a car, second-hand car. So look here. I wonder if he can negotiate in a mobile phone contract, or maybe it's fixed and he can't have a chat with changing that. Maybe, maybe not. But what about his supermarket? Could he spend less on groceries? Could he spend less on computer and gadgets maybe? And takeaways? Possibly. But all of this depends on Sam and what his financial goal is and where he wants to save. And of course, if he's not looking at any savings there, he's still in deficit. So look at this revised budget of Sam's. You can see here his groceries are now, he's in surplus now, $48. I'm sorry, that slide skipped a beat. But here you can see now that he's managed to peel back on his entertainment, which was a larger pie before. His groceries at now $150 a week. And then you can see he's managed to pull back on some of his gadgets. So he's now $48 in surplus and on his way to saving. Look at the difference. So before, you've got Sam's budget in deficit. And congratulations, Sam's now in surplus and well on his way to saving. So when you're looking into your budget and ways in which you could save, look at what your needs are versus wants. Because everybody's different. Money traps to avoid, of course. Car, maybe, outside of your budget range. And look at Paul being caught up in that contract, that car loan contract. Home or rent you can't afford. Expensive friends, this is a great one. It can also be called financial coercion, and that can even start from home. Who knows? Credit cards, that's another good one. Watch the interest. Your first credit card out there could get you into trouble. Look at what interest are you paying. Do you need a credit card? Eating out and impulsive shopping. Yes, well, unfortunately, we are serious. There are minefields, financial minefields out there. But if we navigate them smartly, confidently, and with the knowledge that we have a budget that we're looking at and maybe checking regularly, we may not fall into these money traps after all. It's also important, though, in everybody's case, including Sam's, to have some emergency funds set aside. These are if we get sick, or if we need a small repair done where we cannot get a landlord or it's our repairs to be done, car repairs and dentistry. So regular budgeting does help us to keep on track with how we spend our money and lets you know and see where your money is going. Then we're able to save, put the pennies in the bank and hopefully watch our money grow. So what is your financial goal? I'll now hand you over to my fellow financial counsellor, Vicky, to talk more about what sort of assistance could be available to you. Thank you.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Vicky, and I'm also a financial counsellor with Money Care based in our Hurstville office. And once again, thanks for joining us today. So finishing school is an exciting time in our lives, and pursuing further education and training or entering the workforce are also important milestones. So some of you listening today may be considering going to uni or TAFE, starting an apprenticeship, or thinking about leaving home and wondering, where do I start and where can I get some help along the way? So on that note, I'd like to share some of the community organisations that we work with who are also there to support you along your journey. Now, if you think you're studying or doing an apprenticeship, you may be eligible for some income support through Centrelink. So I'd like to share this short video, which is an introduction into which payments are available to students. Here we go.
If you're a student and looking for financial assistance, then Services Australia is here to help. We deliver payments to students and Australian apprentices who are studying or training. Some of these are regular payments and take care of day-to-day costs. Others are paid less often and help with specific costs. There are three main payments for students: Youth Allowance, Austudy and ABStudy. These three payments are paid regularly while you're studying or training. So which one is right for you? If you're under 25 years, Youth Allowance is for you. If you're 25 years or older, then look into Austudy. For these payments, you generally need to be studying full-time. If you're studying part-time, you may need to look at payments for job seekers, like Job Seeker Payment or Youth Allowance as a job seeker. These have different eligibility requirements, with more emphasis on finding work. Another student payment is ABStudy. You should consider this if you're an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander Australian. Unlike the others, ABStudy is available even if you're studying part-time. Once you're on one of these three payments, we have additional payments you might be able to get. These include the Student Startup Loan, the Relocation Scholarship, Fares Allowance and Rent Assistance. Plus, we'll send you a healthcare card. If you're on ABStudy, your extra payments may also include Incidentals Allowance, School Fees Allowance, Residential Costs Option and others. And if you're not eligible for any student payment, but you're on a low income, you could be eligible for a low income healthcare card. To explore payment options based on your situation, go to Payment and Service Finder, available at servicesaustralia.gov.au/students. You can also ask general questions on Facebook or Twitter.
So, good video that one. But as the video mentioned, if you'd like more information about student allowances, check out the Services Australia website. And you'll also find this very handy tool, which is called the Payment and Service Finder. By answering a series of questions about your situation, this tool helps identify which payments or services you may be eligible for, or alternatively, you can call Centrelink to talk to a service agent or book a face-to-face with them at your local branch. Now, as Kathy and Nerida alluded to earlier, we don't always have enough money to pay for all the things we need or we want. So there's a number of organisations out there, such as Service New South Wales, who have lots of plans and programs that can help us. So Service New South Wales has put together a cost of living program to help you save money. It's pretty good, this site. It includes things such as fuel check, which in these times of rising petrol prices, you can actually locate what the fuel price is in your area so you can find the cheapest petrol. Now, if you're under 20 years of age, we also have the NRMA free to go, free roadside assistance for drivers under 20 years of age. There's also comparison tools to help find the cheapest energy plans and green slips. And you can also see there's a number of programs available to apprentices. The Service New South Wales site also has this wonderful rent, buy, borrow calculator. It allows you to find and compare the costs between renting, buying outright in cash, or borrowing the money or using credit. So you can make an informed decision before you do the transaction. It can also help you work out how long it will take to repay an amount you're thinking of borrowing or buying on credit. Through here, okay. Now, sometimes we get into situations where things may go a little astray and we find ourselves needing a helping hand or a little guidance to get back on track. If this ever happens to you, please remember there are lots of organisations out there available to help. And I'd like to share with you just a few of our favourites. Now, the first one is Ask Izzy, which is a directory of services, and it allows you to search for these services in your local area. What you can do is you can pop in your postcode here in the search bar and then choose the service that you like, such as housing. This will display a list of all the housing services available for you in the area, contact details and opening hours. Next up, if you think you're renting or you are renting at the moment, there's specialist tenancy services such as the Southern Sydney Tenants Advice and Advocacy Service, which is available. Now, their website contains a wide range of generic fact sheets, starting from starting a tenancy right through to leaving a tenancy and everything in between. And you can also call them for free advice about a specific situation or issue. If you have an issue regarding Centrelink, such as your application's been declined, or you've been asked to repay a payment that you believe you're entitled to, or you just want advice, you can contact the Welfare Rights Centre. This agency provides free legal advice on Centrelink and social security matters over the phone. And if you need more generic legal advice, the Youth Law Australia team have a website and they provide free confidential legal information to help young people under the age of 25. There's a wide range of topics such as, money, tax, welfare, violence and harm, employment, cars and driving, even school bullying, courts, etc. So what you can do to request assistance, you click on this button here and complete and submit the web form and they'll get back to you. Now, another organisation who can help provide free legal advice and advocacy assistance is the Financial Rights Legal Centre. Again, they've got a phone number that you can call for specific advice, or on their website, you can find fact sheets and sample letters. And there's also specific scenarios relating to insurance and motor vehicle accidents. Now, to give you an idea of what type of information is available in the fact sheets, I'll just click on that now. And as you can see, there's a number of scenarios available, such as, what do I do if I've had a car accident and I'm uninsured? Or I can't pay my phone bill. Or I've got unpaid tolls. Or if you need information about payday lending or buy now, pay later schemes. Each fact sheet outlines the various scenarios and the options available to you and gives you advice on what you need to do for each. And again, they're also available by phone. The second to last agency I'd like to mention is MoneySmart. And the MoneySmart website provides free calculators and tools to help you take control of your money. They also provide information and tips about banking and budgeting, loans, credit, investing and planning, super and retirement, and insurance. And you'll also find the budget planner that Kathy and Nerida use in their sessions on this website. Now, leaving the best to last, MoneyCare Financial Counselling. The team you've heard from today are all from MoneyCare and we're all financial counsellors. And as Kathy mentioned, we provide two key services. First one is we provide financial coaching, where we work with you to improve your money management skills so you can do the best you can do with the money you have. And this is supported by our award-winning You're the Boss Financial Skills Building Program. The other key service we provide is financial counselling, where we help people understand their financial situation and how to better manage their debt. So if you or your friends or your family are ever struggling to pay your bills and aren't sure what to do, come and see us. When we work with you, we're always on your sides and we act on your best interests. Our service is free, confidential, and non-judgmental. And if we can't help you ourselves, then with your consent, we'll refer you to someone else who can. So that brings us to an end to our presentation this morning. And before I open the floor for questions, on behalf of the MoneyCare team, thank you for joining us today and allowing us to share just a little of what we know. We hope you'll be able to use what you've learned today in the future, and also encourage you to share these tools and tips with your friends and family. And on that note, I'll hand back to Renata and she can open the floor for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy and Nerida and Vicky. That was so informative and very interesting, and lots of services there available to all of us to help us out with any money management issues that we might be having. We do have a few questions here. I'm going to read them out and then you can decide who's best to answer those questions. How much do you recommend I set aside from my budget to cover emergencies and savings? I'm 25 and working full-time in hospitality. Who'd like to field this one? Nerida? Okay.
Yep, I can help with that one. Help out with that one. It's a very good question, because we can't identify as financial counsellors exactly where anyone can save in their budget. So again, it's looking into your own budgets, looking at your needs versus your wants, and then working out where you can afford to save. And that's beginning that road to, financial freedom and saving, when you're looking at where your own needs are and where they sit with you. I hope that helps answer your question there.
Great, thank you, Nerida. Okay, our next question. I have a credit card debt of $2,500, which has an interest rate of 19% per annum. Feels like a maths quiz, doesn't it? I pay a minimum amount of $50 per month and have been told it will take 38 years to repay my debt. Scary. What can I do to repay that debt quicker?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And I did notice that earlier in the chat, and I've answered it, because this is what we see every day. So sometimes what happens is that people get their credit card and it's at the limit, and then they just get used to paying the minimum amount every year. Now, remember that banks are a business, and that is exactly what they'd like you to do, because you are paying for their lovely, enormous profits. So if you want to be smart, you would only use a credit card for emergencies. But if you could pay that down as soon as you can, just every time you get $20 or $50, or just increase that amount that you pay, just do without that little bit of food or takeaway, and pay that down, then and get it down to zero. And I would advise just to cut it up, and then use your own savings and have your own credit card emergency fund that you don't have to pay yourself interest, or maybe you'd like to pay yourself some interest. But I think that credit cards are really for emergencies, and we don't need them if we manage our money better. So sorry, I hope you take that on board.
Thank you, Kathy. Great advice. Nerida has a question.
Yes, I just wanted to add to that, actually. Also, maybe to look at reducing that interest rate. It's rather high, so maybe negotiating that interest rate down. And like Kathy said, that gives you probably the opportunity to make more increased payments. But looking at reducing that interest, most definitely on that credit card, would also be a good idea. Thanks.
Thanks, ladies. Some great advice there. We have one more question. I'm thinking of borrowing some money from a payday lender. How much do these lenders charge generally as a percentage of the original loan amount?
Oh, okay, I'll take that. Usually they are allowed to charge up to double the loan amount. So sometimes it's only payday lenders are able to charge a reasonable fee. I'm just going to have a quick look in, but they are sometimes. The thing about payday lenders is for example, you might see on Facebook, $250, I can pay that back really quickly. That $250 can, if you miss a payment, They are then able to charge default interest rates and fees and charges, and you could be paying up to double, 3 times if you keep missing payments. It can be shocking, and it can be really stressful for people trying to pay them back. So the advice would be to avoid payday lenders. It's quick money, but you will be paying a lot of money back.
Yeah, all sounds very scary. Thank you very much, Kathy. Well, thank you, Money Care team. That was fantastic, very informative, and some really useful information. We'll pop that together in our package to push out to our services and our youth and young adults. I'm just going to check the pod again. Just got a comment here. Oh, another question actually. When our finances can be a bit of a mess, we can feel ashamed about that and it feels hard to fix them. What can you do that can help?
Yes, I can help with that question, as can my fellow financial counsellors, if they'd also like to add to my comments. Look, really, when we talk about being ashamed, there's no shame in having debts. It's actually quite normal out there for anybody to incur a debt. Very difficult to avoid debt. Also remembering there's good debt out there and there's bad debt out there. So it's knowing the difference, working out where that debt, maybe how that debt came about, and that when you're feeling in a bit of a financial fetal freeze or financial stress state, like that question's alluding to, definitely come and see a financial counsellor, because the first place to start is where we have all been talking about, is with a budget. Starting from understanding where your money is going, first of all, and then secondly, in how to address those debts that you've got. What types of debts are they? How long have you had the debts for? What is the nature of that debt? We're here to walk beside you to navigate how your debt came about in the first place. So we're also here to assist you with options in resolving that debt or those debts for you. If we don't have the knowledge, we certainly will refer you on to the right services who do. I hope that helps with your question there. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I just add to that as well? That we are in a society that we don't speak about money. We don't talk about money. It's really good to maybe share a problem with a friend, or just say, oh, I'm having it a bit tough, because the more we open those conversations up and find and talk about money, then the less the stress is. So I encourage you to talk to family and friends if you're in a bit of trouble, or just ring the National Debt Helpline and speak to a financial counsellor over the phone. You can get instant advice, and that's 1-800-007-007. There's lots of help out there.
Thanks, team. And we have had a comment in the chat pod as well, just to reaffirm that your services are free of charge.
Yes, that's right. I had my hand raised there. Correct, we're free of charge.
Oh,
so as Vicky mentioned before, we're funded by the federal government and Department of Social Services, and we're a free service to those in hardship, the vulnerable in our society.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. If we don't have any more questions, we can wrap that up. Thank you to everybody for your time. That was wonderful. Oh, Nerida, did you mean to raise your hand, or was it? Oh, there we go. We're turning it off. Excellent. Okay, I'll stop recording now. Thank you very much, everyone. That was great.